Jalen and Jacoby is supported by Blue Apron. Blue Apron partners with sustainable farms, fisheries, and ranchers to bring you all the ingredients you need to create incredible home-cooked meals. Ingredients come paired with an easy-to-follow recipe card, delivered to your door weekly in a refrigerated box. Rediscover how fun cooking can be while enjoying specialty ingredients and exploring new flavors and cuisines. Get your first 3 Blue Apron meals free, plus free shipping by visiting blueapron.com/Jalen.
I'm Andy Katz from ESPN, along with my co-host Rick Klein of ABC News. On the latest edition of Capital Games, we'll be joined by the new head of USA Basketball, retired General Martin Dempsey. We'll also talk to Kent State's Jimmy Hall on an interesting way to handle the national anthem.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, that's the dirt. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood. Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me up the phone.
He's Jalen Rose.
What up, Doe?
I'm David Jacoby. We're Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. What do we do, Jalen?
We're gonna be back.
Yes.
Say one.
So glad you're singing again, Jalen Rose. I'm so glad you're singing again.
Feeling myself.
Watching the game last night.
Yep.
Panthers Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Panthers up by 10. Probably should be up more.
Thursday night football.
Draw play. Handoff. Just a normal tackle. Luke Kuechly, sort of a gang tackle. Nothing crazy, no over the middle, head collision, no targeting, no using yourself as a missile. Kuechly's hurt. The announcers think maybe it's his leg. And then he starts to cry. And now we know it's a concussion. This felt different to me. Did it feel different to you?
It did, and this is why the popularity of football has come into question recently, amongst other things, because the violent nature of the sport, while you hope to legislate some of it out, to your analogy, that wasn't a kickoff return.
Nope.
Where somebody's running full speed for tens of yards before they actually make contact. This wasn't a defenseless receiver going across the middle. This wasn't a quarterback helpless in the pocket trying to figure if he was in a position to have somebody fall into his leg.
It also didn't really seem like a textbook helmet-to-helmet hit either.
Correct. And so I understand how the game has been marketed different now. Being a longtime NFL fan, those things used to be celebrated. The big hits.
Mm-hmm.
They used to be the commercials on multiple networks. They obviously used to be things that the NFL used to gravitate and even sell the pictures of some of the amazing physical hits that made the NFL what a billion-dollar conglomerate it's become. But I have to agree with your statement, and I want you to acknowledge what you said, that you feel like is going to happen different as football continues to progress.
Well, before I get there, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this specific incident, because there's something about his face, and it was a very personal injury because he was sobbing and he was convulsing and he had this blank look on his face and he looked like confused, in shock. And as a very sensitive person, I'm very sensitive, Jalen. Like, I could just feel his emotion. And I know that he missed 3 games last season for concussion. And I don't know what's going through his head. I don't know if he knows what's going through his head in that moment when he just got concussed. But he's a 25-year-old man who had missed 3 games, is now in a concussion protocol, crying, convulsing on the ground from what seemed like a typical football play.
Jacoby, the one thing, however, about being an athlete, or regardless of what trade or endeavor we choose to pursue, they unfortunately are casualties that come with the job. So that's one that he signed up for.
It's different when you watch Paul George blow up his knee than when you watch someone who hit their head so hard that they can't really compute what's going through their own mind.
Correct. And as a defensive player, as a football player, as one of the more physical players at his position in the entire sport, these collisions are something that he's going to continue to have in order to feed his family.
Mm-hmm.
So that visual that took place, you're going to see more of that. And how we respond to that as football fans will be unique because how we celebrate the big hit has changed. Before, it was kind of like when a friend of yours spills something on themselves. It's like you want to ha laugh if they don't have to go to work and don't have time to change their clothes.
Yeah.
Or if a friend falls, you want to make sure they're not injured first.
I'm going to laugh first.
Before you laugh.
I'm
just saying, in theory. So now when I see a big hit, I'm trying to make sure the person's not hurt.
And that's the
before
thing
I
about
respond.
This one that felt different because it did look like a typical tackle. You know, and also like these big hits that you're talking about, they don't make the highlight packages anymore. You know, they used to be the big highlight was the big hit, and like they don't make the packages anymore. And to what you asked me earlier is, this is a very dangerous sport, and you can't stop plays like that from happening. But I think that we will find ourselves eventually evolving the rules of this sport to the point where it's more like rugby tackling, where they still wear pads, they still hit hard, but you have to wrap up your arms on every hit. You cannot just hit and knock somebody down. You have to hit and wrap and tackle them.
That will be a terrific aid in a lot of ways to safety. However, it's going to virtually make defense non-existent in a lot of cases because players are so fast, so strong, the plays are so sophisticated, and a lot of these guys become geniuses at crafting situations to put you at a disadvantage. And now that you can't be as physical with receivers, in particular in football or with penetrators in basketball, now you see even bad teams in the NBA scoring 110 points and losing the game. Yeah. That's what's going to happen with those rules. Some of these guys that are electric already, that you're just lucky to get your helmet or your pad or any part of your body on them to try to get them to the ground. To now say that, wow, I have to wrap up before they actually end the play, we're going to see some records as it relates to scoring points.
I mean, look, this is a hypothetical world, but like the underlying point that I'm trying to make is we cannot continue to celebrate this game like this and play this game like this when incidents like that happen. He's not the only one that got concussed.
I disagree with you.
It was so visual. He was crying there.
We can continue to celebrate.
He was crying there.
We can continue to celebrate this sport because we're a nation that embraces Conor McGregor's greatness in MMA. Like I'm watching the template change from 90s, early 2000s where things were too graphic for our nation to now everything is in your face and more flagrant, including a presidential candidate, including MMA, including the NFL. Everything is more visual. You can see it on your phone. You can see it on your computer, your mobile device. You're watching it on television. It's everywhere you go. There's a television. And usually when there's sports on, in particular the NBA or the NFL in the United States of America, it's going to be on the television. So unfortunately, it's not going to stop or change the popularity of the sport by the fan because Luke Kuechly got injured.
Well, I feel differently.
The way he did.
I feel differently. I feel differently about football than I did probably 4 years ago with the concussion stuff. You know, like I said, it's different when you watch Paul George blow out his knee.
When you get older, Jacoby, and you start having more of a conscience. So you're looking at his well-being. You know what all sporting events have in common? A betting line. And that drives the popularity of the sport. You think you're standing next to a fan, you don't realize they probably are betting on their fantasy team. They're probably betting in Las Vegas. They're probably betting the over and under. Like, people don't just normally have what's considered the casual rooting interest anymore. It's an investment to sit there and watch football for 10, 12 hours on a Sunday. And so that popularity, unfortunately, won't change. This is why players in Pop Warner, through high school, through college, still thirst for the dream to be in the NFL. And I can't blame them. If I had the kind of skill and talent, I would be too.
You know, I don't bet on sports for the same reason that I don't play sports professionally.
You're not good.
Just not good at it. Just not good. I know I'm not good at it. Every time I bet on the game, I'm like, how did I lose that $200?
I just don't want to.
How did I do that?
For me, it just feels dirty a little bit.
It's like a lot of work, too. You have to understand a lot of stuff. Like, oh, that game's plus 150. Like, all right, so if I bet 100 and then I get 150 back, like, how does that work? I'm not that smart.
Fantasy's enough.
I'm not that smart. Jalen Rose.
What up, though?
LeBron James donated $2.5 million.
He was a contributor to a donation of $2.5 million.
It was also his foundation and Mav Carter. Mav was like, I want in on this too. He's like, yeah, it was just writing about LeBron. I'm donating too. Put my name in there too. His name doesn't make the headline.
We not a posse, okay? I got my own money.
Exactly.
I don't need LeBron to get in VIP.
Cars and girls.
Okay, I can call the restaurant, the club, the Muhammad Ali Museum, and make my own donation.
I made a six-figure donation
No
too.
doubt. Big shout, Mav. The posse is on Broadway. They coming for you, Phil.
Why did he do this? Of course, there are so many things that LeBron James could have donated to. There's so many great causes. There's so many foundations and charities. Why do you think he picked this particular project?
The same reason why he's hanging on the wall in this studio. Muhammad Ali is a legend. And I can't thank him enough as a sports fan, as a humanitarian, as a philanthropist, as somebody that considers themselves socially and politically conscious. That all came from watching him. Mm-hmm. And his endurance and his discipline get overlooked. Also, his education gets, and his intellect doesn't get acknowledged the way it should. This guy is one of the greatest people to literally walk this earth. And it just so happened that he was a heavyweight champion boxer. And so for LeBron, for Maverick, for him to have a Muhammad Ali Memorial Museum to acknowledge some of the contributions that he's made, there could never be enough museums to truly acknowledge his impact.
Well, another member of the sporting world was also enshrined and celebrated in a museum type of atmosphere. But this time it was Russell Westbrook. And he was inducted into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame.
Hit the brakes.
By Michael Jordan.
Hit the brakes. This is where we become different from a lot of shows. Okay.
I love where you're going because I'm already there.
Turn off the radio. Okay. Adjust your TV. Get a little close to the TV. Okay. What Hall of Fame?
The Oklahoma Hall of Fame.
Okay. Who's in that besides him?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't even know states had Hall of Fames.
Okay. That's one. Two. Who inducted him?
Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Now, would Jordan have been there if he wasn't a Jumpman athlete?
Oh, if he was an Adidas athlete, do you think Jordan would get on that plane and fly over there?
Now, as I flip the page, do I enjoy seeing Michael Air Jeffrey Jordan, the owner, the only minority owner in professional sports, by the way, celebrating a current athlete who is represented by a shoe line that he owns, and he sold more shoes than anybody will ever and still does, to the point where we're spending more now for older shoes than we ever have because they have his name on them. To see those two guys as a melting pot is terrific for me as a sports fan, just as much as Russell Westbrook deciding to stay in Oklahoma City. But this is why I want you to hit the brakes one more time. There's no guarantee he's going to play his entire career there.
He's like 28 years old. You put him in the Hall of Fame? Like, come on, Oklahomans.
But there is something to be said for a tornado. And he does represent that for that community. He's been somebody that's not only been charitable with his money and his time, but he's somebody that embraced them so much that, yes, your former MVP decided to leave. I'm not going to follow suit, even though I know we're not a contending team. I'm going to re-sign, and I'm going to show you guys that I'm committed to this community.
But Jalen.
So for that, you do get the kind of honor of being inducted into the Oklahoma City Hall of Fame.
The Oklahoma Hall of Fame. So I was like, wait a second. Oklahoma has a Hall of Fame? Who else has Hall of Fames? What else is out there? Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame? No, you don't have this research. This is my research.
Oh, okay.
We got the Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame. What? We got the Florida Artists Hall of Fame. What? We got, what else do we have here? Aviation Hall of Fame and Museum of New Jersey. There's a lot of Hall of Fames. And then I just went, wait a second. Does Michigan have a Hall of Fame? I was like, wait, we got to get Jay in the Hall of Fame. There is a Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. Have you been inducted in there?
I have not.
Alexi Lawless is in there. What? Jerome Bettis is in there. Eddie Murray's in there.
Eddie Murray? Eddie Murray not from Michigan?
Derek Jeter's in there. So here's what I'm saying right now on Wax. We got to get Jalen Rose into the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. How many times did you win the Michigan State Championship in high school?
3. Hold on, let me get this right. 2 PSL, 3 city, 2 state, 1 national championships at Detroit Southwestern.
Where did you go to college?
That's funny. At the University of Michigan.
Was that a successful basketball team?
I'm speechless.
How are we going to... Here's what I'm going to do right now.
And by the way,
we're going to start the campaign.
I played basketball 1 or 2 days after college, too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
In the National Basketball Association?
Yes.
Oh, did you always represent your Michigan and Detroit roots throughout?
Well, I never left to the point where I'm actually the founder of a tuition-free public charter high school.
Where is it, though?
It's, I think it's
in Detroit. What state is Detroit in?
This is funny. In Michigan.
Huh. Huh. Did Alexi Lawless do that? Is there an Alexi Lawless charter school helping Detroit? Huh? Did he do that?
Oh, man, this is hilarious. As I get ready for a red-eye flight to Detroit tonight.
We are right now starting the campaign. And when I always say I'm going to write a well-worded email, I'm going to actually do it this time. Because I looked at the list of people that were inducted in this. I said, it must not be active anymore, is what I said to myself. They must have shut this down. They induct like 5 people a year. They never even like gave you a phone call. You've never even heard of this before?
No.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hit up Alexi Lawless. I'm gonna hit him up. Just be like, how's this work? Do I gotta donate $5,000? What do we have to do here? Like, what is Alexi Lawless doing for Detroit that Jalen Rose is not doing for Detroit? No shots at Alexi Lawless. I love me some Alexi Lawless.
He's a hockey player, right?
Yeah, hockey player. I know he's a soccer player. I know he was messing with Jalen.
He's not from Michigan.
I'm saying,
doesn't he work for ESPN?
He did.
Yeah. I know him more from that. He can't be from Michigan. Is he?
Jalen.
Somebody need to tell me.
Not only that, they have a Michigan Walk of Fame. Have you heard of that?
No.
You don't have a plaque on the Walk of Fame?
No.
Alexi grew up in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Michigan.
Oh, he did. Okay, I didn't realize that.
So you're not. Wait, are you part of the Michigan Walk of Fame?
I didn't know. I know the Hollywood Walk of Fame existed. I didn't know Michigan had a Walk of Fame.
Right now, on this program, this is day 1 of the campaign.
We need to take the show there
to get Jalen Rose in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. You know what? I don't even want to be. You know what? I'm shutting this down.
You know what?
This is actually the end of it.
You know what would make me happier than being in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame? I'd rather just have a key to the city.
No promises. But I'm going to get you in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. What are you going to do with the key to the city?
Michigan may not, have acknowledged to the point where you feel like they should, but Detroit have. I'm in the Detroit Hall of Fame.
Good for you. So, Jalen, there was a really interesting report on Bleacher Report about Aaron Rodgers. It said a lot. The thing that really jumped off the page about this particular story was his relationship with his family. It said, quote, immediate family members don't even have his cell phone number. When mom and dad sent Christmas presents to the quarterback and his girlfriend that year, the source said those gifts were mailed back in February. He was set to be the groomsman in a wedding of one of his closest friends, the source said, and texted the day before that he couldn't attend. It went on to explain that he didn't attend his grandfather's funeral, and then if his dad wants to attend a game, he has to buy tickets on StubHub or go through another player's family. We don't know the details of this relationship with his family. he might have very good reason. This might not be true, A, but he may have very good reasons to cut off these people from his life. Does this matter?
It doesn't matter to the public. And here's what I want to educate everyone on. There's dysfunction in every family. The difference is when you're not famous, it's not played out for public consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody that's listening to this program, just think about the member of your family that for whatever reason right now you may not be getting along with.
There's always one.
It gets on steroids when a couple of things get involved. Your relationship with your family, your friends, your loved ones. Money and fame. These two things are drugs. They're intoxicating. They also can be blinding by the person that's gaining the celebrity, but more so in a lot of cases by those around them that crave it.
Mm-hmm.
And those that feel like you are only adored by people based on your talent and skill, not necessarily appreciate your work ethic to achieve what you got accomplished. So it becomes a weird dynamic that you learn. People only sometimes get mad at you as it relates to three things that you actually control. And they control too. It's just like when a package comes to your house, it's basically illegal to open somebody else's mail for a reason, because that's personal. And when you're the breadwinner of your situation, a lot of times those that you influence directly, indirectly, eventually get mad at you based on how you spend your time, your energy, and your money. And have critiques on the decisions you actually make with all three, and how one of those dynamics should have been spent for their greater good. And so a lot of times they don't appreciate the totality of what you're trying to get accomplished. It's like being a GM of an organization or an owner. You should be looking at the long-term view of what should happen. And then the coach should be worried about winning this play, winning this game. But as a player, tomorrow's not guaranteed. And it's just that way as it relates to dynamics like this. Now, there are some notables and some untouchables in your life that sometimes, even if you feel like they don't, in your opinion, know how to treat you or don't appreciate you the way you feel like they should, there's still certain people that you named that would give me a side eye hearing this story as you rattled a couple of situations off to me. One was about the dad in StubHub.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the person that's been on wax of acknowledging that I never met my biological father. One of the biggest regrets of my life. I don't think it's cute or cool. I'm also on wax saying I wore number 42 in high school out of spite because my biological father wore 24. Because in my head, I wanted to make it to the NBA one day, and I wanted him to know my name. Duh. If I didn't have a fresh haircut, I hit myself upside the head. I got the athletic gene from him. I have brothers and sisters that have a different dad. And you know how many times they play collegiate basketball games? None. How many times they play professional basketball games? None. They weren't put in a position to walk across the stage, shake David Stern's hand, make it to the NBA in a red and white suit, and take my family dynamic went from the city to the suburbs that day. And you see the elevation of how that can influence your family members directly and or indirectly. But also, it's almost like we were saying with LeBron earlier in the week. At some point, the people that you invest that time, energy, and money in, don't forget that keyword, invest. You hoping that that's going to plant a seed to put them in a position not only to take them fishing, but to teach them how to fish so they can fish forever. But what's going to happen is that's almost unrealistic. to think everybody that you're influencing is going to be a success in their own life. That's just not how it works. So because of that, you're going to have some people mad at you. And trust me, if you want to find some people that are mad at some people on this earth, find anybody successful. Yep. They can line up people like a Super Bowl of all of the people that have things to say negative about them. But let me tell you the kind of heartbreaking lesson that you learn in this. A lot of those people are the ones you actually invested your time, energy, and money in. Yep. Now just think about this. How can you fix your face to say anything negative, especially if you're an adult, about somebody that's actually reached into their pocket, that is giving you their hard-earned dollars and you never had to pay it back? That just doesn't happen in life. It just doesn't work that way. So I'm not going to necessarily plunge into Aaron Rodgers' family issues and
we don't know
truly
beyond this report.
Acknowledge why he's not probably dealing with them the way most people deal with their families, with civility. But I will say this. I fortunately come from a family that has terrific genes. And so I can say that, and by the grace that I haven't gone to a lot of funerals in my life. A couple of them have been for my grandfather, Paramore Hicks Sr., his son, my uncle, Paramore Hicks Jr., going to one tomorrow for my aunt, Jackie Pearson, my aunt, Sherry Williams, my uncle, Reuben Thompson, my cousin, Bobby Moore. These are the people that have died in my lifetime from my family. And I, clearly feel remorse if I'm forgetting somebody. I'm doing this program live and unfiltered. But when I hear that he didn't go to his grandfather's funeral that he talked to before every game, it gave me a level of maturity. And I looked up at and thanked my lucky stars. You know why? Because though I never met my biological father, guess where I was doing this funeral? Standing right there. Next to Dave being his former teammate, who's also my godfather. And what I implore young people to do is, since there are no perfect families, and let me take you a step further, especially when there's two unmarried individuals having kids, that automatically creates a fracture in the family dynamic. And I'm not saying that took place in Aaron Rodgers' dynamic. No. I'm just saying I did perk up when you said he didn't go to his grandfather's funeral. And the last thing about his groomsmen, just have some etiquette. If you're not going to come, say you're not coming. Don't hit me the day before and say you're not coming. That's just not cool.
Be the person you say you're going to be. Don't commit to something and then not do it. But one thing I want to make clear is I'm going to tell you now that all the things reported here are not true, right? Some of them aren't. You know what I mean? Some of them aren't. But something tells me the truth is that some of them are.
Not to be the reality police, but I'm going to quote the great American philosopher Curtis Jackson, a friend of our program.
Also known as 50 Cent.
Hate your friends. Love your enemies. Enemies stay the same. Friends change.
Jalen.
What up, Dell?
It's been a tough week for Phil Jackson. It's been a week for Phil Jackson. He's been in the news a lot. Knicks aren't winning. Knicks lost to the Wizards. Phil had the posse thing, and then he retweeted it, doubled down on it, and now he just went back to his old tricks, giving out books to his players. This time he gave all the Knicks Mindfulness on the Go. It's a book that lists 25 different meditation exercises that you can do in your everyday life.
So I'm mixed on this one.
I know you like to meditate.
Like, I'm going to buy this book.
Okay.
Because
No, hold on. Before you say you're going to buy this book, let me just list some of the exercises included in the book. Tasting your food one careful bite at a time. Using your non-dominant hand for everyday tasks. Placing awareness in the bottom of your feet. I don't need to read a book to place awareness in the bottom of my feet.
I do.
I don't need a book to taste food one careful bite at a time.
It's not about the food. It's about taking your time and enjoying the moment. It's not really about what you're actually eating. What ends up happening in sports is we marvel at the athleticism of players, but we don't realize what truly separates the guys that walk across the stage and shake Adam Silver's hand and get paid the first and 15th to play a professional sport in whatever endeavor it is because they have something going on from the neck up as it relates to a level of sacrifice, because while they were going to practice on their craft and their friends and family members were chosen to do other things, they had to have some level of discipline, because you don't just make it to the league overnight. Just think about it. You have to start playing when you're young, and you play a lot longer for free before you start actually getting paid. And what ends up separating people that make it to that elite level is those that have obviously the ability and the talent and the drive and the work ethic and all of the physical attributes, but your mindfulness is what separates you. So I'm actually big on this, and
I'm small on it.
I'm happy that he's doing it, because there's a sharpening of the mind and of the body that when they're functioning at equal capacity, that's when you have success. It's not really about their record. We know the Knicks aren't winning the championship.
No.
So my thing is, can I still allow young people, because remember, he is still a leader of young people. He's the president of a professional basketball team. How can I still get these individuals to be the best individuals they could be, which in turn is going to help them be better basketball players and better people? So a lot of people are going to troll him about this. I'm not going to be one.
Oh, I'm going to be one. Placing awareness in the bottom of your feet, Jalen. Placing awareness in the bottom of your feet. Eating food one careful bite at a time.
I'll give you an old man trick that I do. And there are going to be some people that laugh at this until you start to get older and realize your body's starting to break down and you start walking with your shoulders slumped over like Jabba the Hutt. Okay?
Like who?
Like Jabba the Hutt.
From?
Is that Star Wars?
Yes.
Okay. You have to elongate your spine, and you got to continue to do what you can to try to stay limber. Like one of the things that I did poorly as a player was stretch. I have some of the tightest hips ever, but that don't mean that has to be like that forever. So do I consistently stretch? No. Do I consistently go to yoga? No. But are they things I try to incorporate in my day, even if I can't make it to a class or do a full stretch? Yes. And I'll give you a silly thing that I do, where one of the stretches you may try to do to help loosen up your hips is like a butterfly stretch. Or it's one where you're standing and you'll put your the back of your foot in front of your knee and push your knee down, right?
Okay.
So the point I'm trying to make is, so one of the things I even did this morning when I was in the shower, instead of me just standing there.
Don't get fired.
I'm just telling you. This is going to help one person. I promise you.
Okay.
So instead of me just standing there and wiping my underarms and wiping my face and all that, I do that just like normal people. But when I get down to my legs and my feet, I stretch while I'm doing it. I truly do. So I'll have one foot on the ground, and the challenge is, yes, doing it in a shower when it's wet. That's when you know you truly have balance. I'm giving you real spill.
Shower yoga.
Yes, indeed.
We might just be onto something now.
So again, instead of me just normally bending over like most people do, and you're washing your feet, you're washing your legs, when the water's just hitting you in the back of the neck, in the back, your back, you're not getting any physical benefit. I'm literally standing up straight, stretching while I'm doing each leg.
You know what's happened to me in my old age? I lift up the feet. Like to wash my feet, I lift them up and use the side of the shower. Or like to tie my shoes or something. I'm not going all the way down to the floor to tie my shoes. Are you crazy?
I'm going to give you guys.
What year is this?
going to give you guys another old man trick that I use. Stand up without using the ends of the chair. Just stand up. You start to be dependent of your arms to stand up, and you don't realize it. You're rolling out of the car. You're rolling off the couch and off the chair. Just stand up.
I appreciate the old man trick. I have a question. When Phil Jackson's handing out these books, He's in the news. People are talking about him, including us, all week long. Does he have to address the Knicks about the posse comments? Like, does he say something?
Off wax, yes, because your star player who has a no-trade clause says something publicly.
Exactly.
So because of that, he will have to address the team. But this is why we're a front-running society. And, yes, Drake did beat Meek Mills in a battle rap.
Sure.
But it was funny to me to see people watch him lose that battle and think automatically Nicki Minaj should leave him. Like, that those are two separate things. It almost, you don't realize you're actually saying something about her character more than his when you should say, oh, he lost the battle. You shouldn't kind of want to be with him no more. It's the same thing with Phil Jackson. When he was winning 6 championships doing this with the Bulls, when he was winning 5 championships doing this with the Lakers, we weren't laughing and giggling. But now since his team is struggling, we try to make a mockery out of it. So I'm just calling out a front-running media and fans because that's a hypocritical stance that I'm not taking.
Get off the bandwagon.
Us Weekly is reporting that Tristan Thompson and Khloe Kardashian are now saying I love you to each other. Quote, she's so into him and he's really into her. We've discussed this at length. There was a report on Media Takeout that the Cavs had started calling him Tristan Kardashian.
That don't mean that stopped.
And that was bothering him.
That don't mean that stopped either.
When is this relationship going to end?
When they get married on the show?
You think they'll get married on the show?
It won't be live, but I guarantee
they'll
be
married.
footage.
I think Khloe's still married. I don't think this relationship makes the playoffs. I don't think this one makes the playoffs.
My whole thing is, I'll just say that she moves really fast.
It's quick.
She moves really fast.
Nick Young said that he didn't give himself the nickname Swaggy P. Jalen. I know that bothers you.
He gave himself the name.
He said that God gave it to him in a dream.
So I'm not the person that interferes with your relationship with your maker. So I can't acknowledge that is true or false. But I do know this. You shouldn't be allowed to give yourself a nickname. And when he and the man above was in the room, only one of them came out and told us that was his name. That was him.
If whatever you believe is fine, if there is a God, I like to think that God knows that Swaggy is played out. If anyone knows that swag is played out, it's God. Here's what Jerry Jones says about Tony Romo.
No.
It's not goodbye. I think Tony has got 5 years left of really competing for a Super Bowl. I believe Tony will be the quarterback on a Super Bowl team.
And you left out something that really jumped out at me. He basically went too far and said here in Dallas. That's where he got diarrhea at the mouth.
He said Dallas?
Yes.
Oh, I thought he just said a Super Bowl team.
No.
He said in Dallas?
That's where people cut the quote off.
Oh, he said be the quarterback. Maybe the quarterback's coach is what he meant to say?
That's where people cut the quote off. He basically acknowledged that Tony Romo, now let's get this right, is not only going to be in Dallas for the next 5 years, but also the quarterback of a Super Bowl winning team that he's actually quarterbacked over a decade that has won already 2 playoff games.
He didn't say a quarterback? Maybe that's what he meant. Not the quarterback.
And to take it a step further, it's not like that John Kitna, the backup in previous past, could barely win a game. Their backup happened to become a guy named Dak Prescott, who is the quarterback of the current Cowboys and clearly the quarterback of the future. This is going to be, I hate to say it, Jerry Jones. It's almost like a relationship. You're heightening expectations with Tony Romo, and you can't deliver what you're saying. It's unrealistic.
What is it about owners in Dallas that feel like they make personnel decisions? Like, you know who we always look to decide who's going to be the starting quarterback of the Cowboys? We look to Jerry Jones.
You want to listen to the coach.
We always go to Jerry Jones. It's the only owner, you know what? But Bob Kraft isn't like, you know what? We're starting Jacoby Brissett.
That's why there's a difference between having Jimmy Johnson lead your football team and you be the owner versus you despise Jimmy so much because people gave him the credit, and rightfully so, for a lot of the things he did for your organization, you won't even put him in the Ring of Honor still to this day. What? He's in the Hall of Fame and not
Which
in the
one?
Dallas
There's a lot of different
Ring
Hall of
of
Fames.
Honor.
I learned there's a lot of different Hall of Fames.
True story.
I'm sure Jimmy's in a lot of different Hall of Fames.
So why, when you start, like don't say to your mate, hey, I'm not going to watch football all Sunday. And then all of a sudden you guys start dating, and then you want to watch football. It's like, well, you told me you want to watch. I want to go shopping. Like, no, I want to watch football. No, you are the expectations that you set.
Be the person that you said you were going to be.
You clearly know that he's not going to be on your football team 5 more years, quarterback in the Super Bowl team as a starter. You know this.
Oh, he knows that. For sure.
Okay, like that, what I just said is an absolute
Every time
fact.
he gets a text, he's like, I wonder if it's a trade for Tony.
And there's probably a part of him saying he wants to heighten his value by saying how many great years he has left. So you know what's going to happen with Tony Romo at the end of this year? Nothing. He'll be not only the highest paid backup for this season, also for next.
Jalen Rose.
What up, Dill?
I don't know if you know this, but for many years of my life, I was a professional pizza chef. I made pizza. I can throw up a piece of dough. I can spin them around my back. I can make pizza, thin crust, thick crust. I saw you eat some pizza before we went on the air in a manner in which I have never, ever seen another human being eat pizza. Just for those listening at home, Jalen Rose took one slice of pizza. That wasn't enough. Took a second slice of pizza, placed it on top of that other slice of pizza, making a 2-story pizza tower, and then devoured it. What? Double-decker pizza bus going straight to Jalen's stomach.
It's efficient.
Okay.
I'm about to do a show, and I want to eat 2 pieces of pizza. I'll eat 2 at the same time.
I've never seen anyone eat pizza like that before.
Interesting.
I don't think anyone else has ever eaten pizza like that before because it's disgusting. And let me tell you the worst part about the whole thing. It's not like one slice of pepperoni on top of one slice of pepperoni. You had 2 different slices from 2 different pies. Just mixing all kinds of flavors.
If I wanted to eat 4 pieces, that's basically eating 2 separate times instead of 4 times because I have a program to do. And thank you, Harlan Endelman, for bringing the crew the pizza. I thought I was the only person that worked at this network that brought things to production meetings.
Draymond Green is saying, I want the Defensive Player of the Year award. What's he really saying, Jalen?
What he really saying is, I'm not going to lead the team in scoring.
Nope.
I can lead the team in rebounding.
Mm-hmm.
I should lead the team in assists. I may lead the team in blocks, possibly in steals. It's my job to guard on a given possession from the point guard through the center in certain lineups, especially late in the shot clock. That's my anchor role on this team. I came in second before to Kawhi Leonard. We're going to have one of the best records in the league, and in order for us to maximize our goals, I have to be at my best on the defensive end.
See, this is why I love Draymond. Because he's smart. He's managing the message. He knows the story is going to be Draymond's scoring has gone down. Draymond's offensive input. Remember last year when they were winning and they were going to break the records and Draymond was the secret plug. He was the key to the whole team. He makes everything work. You're not going to see those stories this year when you got Kevin Durant there. So he's saying, you know what, everybody? Don't worry about that side of the court. Everybody focus on me on defense, on that side of the court. It's a brilliant manipulation from Draymond.
When you form what's now considered a super team, and just think about this on wax. I was watching OKC play against Houston and couldn't help but think, had they been able to keep Harden with Durant and Russell Westbrook, we would have 4 current big threes in the league. Obviously, Cleveland will have 3 All-Stars this year with LeBron, Kyrie, and Love. The Clippers will have 3 All-Stars this year with CP3, Blake, and DeAndre. Obviously, Golden State would have already had 3 before he got there, and the Splash Brothers and Draymond, and those 3. So when you make that kind of allegiance to a group, and the goal is all about winning championships, and you each play different positions, you create different roles, and everybody has to maximize their role. And for him, it's going to be on the defensive side of the basketball.
If you've been following it this week, there's a little bit of controversy with the Cy Young Award in the American League. Started because Kate Upton tweeted in defense of Justin Verlander, her man.
I like Justin Verlander. I'm a longtime Tigers fan. I was watching His and Hers one day, and Jamel Hill eloquently disagreed with Kate Upton's stance on something political. And, of course, I wanted to give a high five, a hat tip to my fellow Detroiter. Also, Jamel, JRLA donor.
Is she in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame? If she's in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame.
And I have to acknowledge that. Thank you. I appreciate you, sis. I agreed with Jamel about her commentary with Kate Upton. And Justin Verlander, of course, is his wife. Stop following me on Twitter.
Here's what I love.
I still follow him.
Rick Porcello, the winner of the Cy Young, had this to say about all this controversy. Quote, I honestly don't care. I'm not the one that made the decision as far as who wins the Cy Young. All I know is I've got a lot of people around me right now that I love very much and have been instrumental in my success getting to this point. And on top of that, we've got some really good wine that we still need to drink.
But also, here's what made it more personal. Besides the fact, and he's not going to follow me back when I say this, but it's honest. It is a travesty that he got left off of 2 ballots altogether. Just like our presidential election, you clearly see winning the popular vote makes people want to understand what the college electoral votes really mean. That took place in baseball when he gets left off 2 ballots. But what makes it more personal is Porcello and Scherzer. You know what they have in common? I know you don't. I do.
Played in the Tigers.
They both played for the Tigers. So imagine you're watching 2 players that not only went somewhere else and played pretty good. Like, these guys went on to get better in other uniforms. So I think that also made it a lot more personal. Do you like the defense that she took for her husband publicly on Twitter?
I thought it was funny. You know what I mean? It really was just a pun joke. That's all it really was. It was just a pun joke. And, you know, I'm all for it. If she feels a certain way, tweet it.
I'm not mad at it
I
either.
think people getting mad at Ayesha Curry for saying this and that. It's like, whatever. You know, if some people have the personality, they want to speak out. Go ahead and speak out.
Here's what you hope happens in a relationship. That you can express yourself, I can express myself, and we both love it.
And they have a laugh about it later.
And I guarantee you, before she pressed send, she showed it to him. He was definitely sitting right there.
It's like, he can't tweet it. You know what? You can't write your own case of why you should be in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. I can write the case of why you should be in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. I got you, too.
And I can write the case of why there's no reason that you guys shouldn't be getting a new minivan for the family soon.
We got to get one. Lease is almost up. Not cheap either. Columbus Circle, New York City. I know you know it.
I do.
It's corner of Central Park. Southwest corner of Central Park. It's popular.
I was seen there recently riding in a horse and carriage.
Exactly. There's a lot of sort of like tourist trap things. Hey, I'll draw a caricature of you, or look at this picture of Washington Square Park. You know, buy this for $10. And what's happening now? You know who's getting in on it? Raccoons. There's a gang of raccoons, 22 raccoons that gather at that corner of the park, just waiting to be fed by tourists. Are you concerned about a future in which the earth is uninhabitable, or concerned about a future in which raccoons take over the earth?
No, I wish they'd go stand on the corner with the naked cowboy.
There's too many naked people now. There's naked cowgirls, naked cowboys.
Here's the thing, and I don't want to start nothing in New York, but did you realize it's not against the law to be topless?
What? Are you sure?
Google it.
Jalen Rose, what do we do? But you know what? Our Twitter feed isn't the only way that listeners can communicate with us. If you dial 985,
you guys giving away a lot of access now.
80 Jalen.
I'm like Jada. I don't have a home number. I live on the road.
A voicemail for this program. 985-80 Jalen. Leave a voicemail for this program. You can ask us questions. You can give your opinion. 985-80 Jalen.
Why couldn't it be Jacoby? Because it's 6 letters versus 5? It could be David. Why got to be Jalen?
Because you're famous, let's be honest.
Well, Jalen has become a common name. Big shout. That's one of the most humbling things that I can ever say.
So if you want to leave a voicemail for the show, we'll be... call 985-80 Jalen and do that. And we'll put him right in the show. We'll listen to it.
I got a Darrell Revis moment for my haters.
No.
It's hard to... I'm 43, and I'm a dad. I'm supposed to be lame. I'm supposed to be corny. But let me tell you something. I truly can't be if I foster a name into the lexicon.
I don't think you're corny. Who called you corny?
My detractors.
Don't listen to them. USB Skate wants to know this. Would or has Jalen ever gone skiing?
No. I can imagine myself.
Have you never gone skiing?
Just think about this. I've been tall my whole life, and I have a visual of me being on skis and my legs splintering into the splits.
Have you ever been on a ski lift? Have you ever been to a ski resort?
Hit the brakes. I'm really from the hood. Concrete jungle. Okay.
No ski lift?
Ski lift?
No ski lift.
Seriously?
No ski lift experience?
I've never been on ice skates. Where is the ski lift? Let me tell you something. Those from Michigan would appreciate this. I remember my AAU coach, he got us a practice at Country Day. I was 13 and under AAU. And when you're young, taking a trip in the car for like 30, 45 minutes feels like a long way, especially during traffic. And so we're just riding. I'm half asleep in the back of the car. And all of a sudden, we get to this amazing body of water that I now know as Cass Lake. We're on the right side. It's multi-million-dollar homes. Mm-hmm. It's a 2-lane street going in each direction, and then it's water for as far as you can see.
Sounds lovely.
And I remember just looking twice like, wait a minute, they boating and jet skiing in Detroit? I was like, I need that. I'm about to ball a day. And I can't front. That's one of the days where I started to take basketball serious.
You're like, I want to go jet skiing. You're like, I want a boat. I want a dock. I want to go jet skiing. I'm going to be a professional basketball player.
No question, because it was different seeing it in the city. Like, again, for those that spend time in and around Detroit, like being downtown at Belle Isle, and we're the Great Lakes Stakes for a reason. Like, we got amazing bodies of water. So I've been exposed to that, but more so downtown. And downtown in Detroit is more industrious. It's not necessarily family. It's not where people live and say, oh, I'm going to raise my kids and I'm going to put them in school and go to the supermarket. It was just different then. And so to see that level of suburban success, I started taking my game serious at that point. I started playing every day after that.
Good. So no skiing?
No.
No ski trip?
No. This is where the beautiful cultural differences that we have come into play. That you would think that I even have the opportunity. Like, who do you think in my family or on my block and say, you know what we should do this Saturday? Let's go skiing.
I heard there's some fresh powder up on the slopes.
How much did that cost?
Let's go hit the slope.
How much did that cost? Okay, let me tell you let me tell you my sport, basketball. I'm going to take some hangers out of the closet. We'll put 2 of them together. I'm going to tape them together. Okay? I'm going to put some paper around it to make some nets. I'm going to put it at the top of the door. And I'm going to tear up the top of the door eventually until my mom gets mad. And I'm going to ball up a sock and put a piece of foil inside of it. And I'm going to shoot all day. On Halloween, guess what I'm going to be? I'm going to be a hobo. That's what I'm going to be. Have a stick, put a little stocking cap, put a little handkerchief or whatever on the back. I'm a hobo. Till you got enough money to get a Jason mask.
No skiing?
No skiing.
I never went skiing.
And I'm almost disappointed that that wasn't even an option. You know how A, B, C, or D or all of the above? That wasn't even an option.
You're insulted that someone asked you if you went skiing.
I'm insulted that I wasn't exposed to it.
I've never gone skiing before in my life.
No.
Snowboarding.
I'll tell you a lot of things I didn't do until I got grown. How about play golf? That's another subject for another day.
Next question we have is from Mike. And Mike asks us a lot of questions. This one just doesn't work for me. The Chronic or Chronic 2001?
Chronic.
Come on, Mike. You knew that one.
Usually the first project from an artist normally is better because they're encompassing their struggle, their hustle, their ideas all into their first project. Look at Nas Illmatic, Jay-Z Reasonable Doubt. When you go back at their discography, you probably figure, wow, that's the best. Sometimes it's the same way with movies. Mm-hmm. The original seems to always be the best.
L-Dog wants to know, has Jalen ever had a confrontation with a celeb after a game or during a game? Any front row trash talk?
Spike Lee. That's obvious. I was the New York Knicks and Indiana Pacers were a big-time rivalry at the time. And
did Spike embrace you when you went to the Knicks?
Of course. I got love for Spike because I'm politically and socially conscious, and I always was a fan of his movies and of his work, and looked up to him and all of the things he was able to get accomplished in his endeavors. But usually celebrities, you got to understand something. They're at the game to have fun. Yeah. They're not at the game to cause controversy. So if I'm going to come to multiple games, guess what? I don't want the other guys on the other team not to like me. You know what I want them to do? If I'm Jack Nicholson, I'm Denzel, I want them to give me that.
Yeah.
I want the road team to like me.
That feels good.
You see Drake night in Toronto, you couldn't tell if it was in Golden State or in Toronto because he got love from both sides. That's how celebrities move.
People acted like KD was mad at Drake when he bumped into him. KD's not mad at Drake. He was playing. The big quote was like, KD doesn't care about Drake night. Don't worry.
How about this? Melanie Fiona and Drake. I had a chance when I was in Toronto as a player. These were two new up-and-coming artists. I remember getting a chance to see them perform at the Avocado Lounge.
Bad name for a club.
And they both went on to obviously have terrific success.
Bad name for a club.
What up, though, Big Apple?
The Avocado Lounge?
I didn't say it was my club.
Avocado Lounge? I have a question for you. It was about that Drake thing, remind me of it. Why do people like KD and yourself try to grow beards when you can't grow beards? I
do not try to grow a beard. That is not accurate. This goatee grows automatically.
Like KD's trying to do like a chin strap thing with the beard. It's not even all the way filled out. Like, what is he doing there?
I used to want to try to grow the chin strap with the fade, but it just won't grow.
You know, I used to have the chin strap.
Too. Where?
I used to have the chin strap like right around when John B was popping. I looked at John B and I was like, that's gonna be my new look for 1995. Thank you so much for listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2 and ESPN News, and subscribing.
Thank you.
To the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
You're far too kind.
Have a great weekend.
This is Larry Culpepper, and if you love college football as much as I do, enough to invent the playoff, you're welcome. Do yourself a favor and subscribe to the Championship Drive podcast in the Listen tab of your ESPN.